Another one of the unwritten rules of pitching your music to music supervisors is don't send a song as an attachment to an email. Nobody needs an extra 7 or 8 megabytes onto their computer. My computer, I run everything off a laptop, and I think it has a 500 gig hard drive, and it's constantly getting slow and gunked up of data. And I have a lot of video and films on there as well, but nobody wants to. And also you get them on your handheld. Nobody wants to get songs attached. You know, you send a link or something like that. And when it comes to links, I would not recommend sending a link to a folder that you can't preview or hear first. You know, that's happening a little less and less now that Dropbox and some of these other file sharing programs are allowing you to stream as an automatic way of presenting the music. But if somebody I don't know sends me music of an artist that I don't know, I am very unlikely to download a 150 megabyte folder sight unseen without having get my ears on it. So it just won't even be opened by anybody. But if you have a link that can get to a page and stream, okay, I want this one, I want that one, that would be great. And I think in general, though, you can only get so far pitching songs yourself. There are so many people pitching songs. My recommendation to indie artists who are my friends, and one of my brother does it as well, is kind of get in the system, get in the game. There's a dozen, 2 dozen one-stop shopping sort of song plugging companies out there.
Music placement.
There are also some incredibly strong music libraries that have just upgraded their game as far as the type of music you can get from these libraries. So we know that if we're looking for a hip-hop track and I go to the library, I know it's going to be a real quality indie track. It's not going to be some jazz guy in a studio putting on his rap hat and it's sounding lame.
Right.
So they've got a lot of trust because they're very organized, great search engines, really dependable licensing. They got a lot of trust from the music supervising community to go to these one-stop shoppers and these main production libraries who do it every day. And they're the ones who, a lot of them used to be head of vice president at Universal Music Publishing. So they're out now. They've already got our ear. We've known them for 15 years. So when that person hits me up, I can know I can count on their taste. I know they can count on their business discipline being there. So there's never going to be an issue if I was to use any track. And really, they're all pre-cleared. There's no question marks. So getting your stuff into the hands of somebody who does it, every day is probably the most winning tact to take, I think, for an indie artist. Because a lot of times when I'm looking for a song, I have a folder of bookmarks, and I'll just start going down, and I won't even get to the fourth, search engine because the first three will be so strong, and they'll give me a lot of great options for that spot, and in that environment, when I know if I use any of those that it's already cleared, it's already nailed down, it makes it just harder for an indie artist to come out of the blue and get our attention.
Okay. So. I want to ask you about something else that has transpired in the business, and that is that technology, I think, has made it so much easier for music to be produced today. And I'm curious if this saturation or oversaturation has affected the economic value of music within the film and television community, in your mind.
Yeah, I would think that there's definitely an oversaturated market, and it's interesting. I heard somebody say once that it's hard. Most people can't tell the difference between the apprentices and the masters. So you never know what quite you're going to get if you hear get one song and you might need a change, or you want to hire that artist to write another song. So there's definitely too much of everything. I think that has its impact. As far as devaluing, Hollywood is kind of devaluing everything and everyone that it can. Even the Hollywood actors, Brad Pitts and those level people are getting devalued to once they once got. An actor friend of mine said something funny the other day. He said 10 is the new 20. So if any A-list actor can get $10 million up front for a movie, they're very happy. It's like Jim Carrey getting $20 million in the 90s.
Right.
So I think everything's getting devalued, and it's interesting, though, the studios consciously or unconsciously are still trying to drive it, lower. You'd think, or if they can get music for free in their movies, they would. But a lot of us who are in the licensing game, we respect the artist too much. We don't want it to get there, And I was at a meeting with the production music libraries the other day, and there was a real rallying call to protect the value of music, and to not, I know that Guild of Music Supervisors, they don't find it appealing to get free music from somebody just so somebody can get on the cue sheet and get some back end. We'd rather pay a fair price for a good song. So.
Precisely. That's great. I mean, it's you hear of these situations at studios. I was at a conference last year where they were talking about how one studio is buying into the system where they'll get songs now from a top line library for $250, and the bottom line before was $500, and it's like it just keeps, as you said, going lower. Right. And everybody's in it now for volume and so forth. Can you talk about what your greatest joy is as a music supervisor? I mean, what gives you the most pleasure?
Yeah, can I just backtrack for one moment?
Sure.
Even though the market is saturated, it is still, I think, in 2012, one of the best times ever to be shopping, to have your independent music and trying to get into films, because all the film licensing budgets have really been shrunk down. And I would say that in 1995, when I worked on a movie, I would have 10 major record label acts and major publishing songs. I'd have 10, and then I'd have 2 library tracks.
Right.
Now it seems like the typical film, we get to choose 2 or 3 major songs, and then the rest are all independent in libraries.
So the opportunities are much greater for the independent.
Many more spots available, because even 5 years ago we might have been able to keep Foreigner hot-blooded in a scene, and now I have to switch it out with sort of an old 70s mid-chart from a library, or from a one-stop, or from a Fervor catalog, or some cool, great old indie catalog that's available to me on their search engine, one stop. So it is a good time, as competitive as it is. There's a lot of lower end slots that need to be filled in TV shows and movies.
So those opportunities exist.
Yeah.
That's great to know. What's your greatest satisfaction in being a music supervisor creatively?
Well, my greatest satisfaction is having something that we did, and even just something that I'm just a fraction of a part of a big dance scene or an on-camera music scene or whatever. I just like seeing things impact, out there. I just like driving down the street and seeing somebody in real life, in nature, just cranking a song from a soundtrack that I did, and knowing that song wouldn't have got made if we didn't, hustle and make the deal happen and do all this crazy behind-the-scenes stuff to make it happen. And none of that matters, to the person who's just out in the world consuming, the music that is meaningful to their life. To see it go full circle and see it impact, is great. Once I was down chasing. I was in Atlanta, and I was chasing the artist Nelly for something, and Destiny's Child was the opening, or they were doing an act together in the arena down there. And I was leaving the backstage area right as Destiny's Child took the stage, and I was walking towards the crowd, and they opened up with Independent Women, which was the hit single from Charlie's Angels. And I got to see about 14,000 people singing along, every word. And when I think back of the sort of nightmarish journey we had to lock that in and to get it done and to get it rewritten and to make it happen, and then to see it really being meaningful was great.
And its impact in the world, yeah.
Yeah, and I've been lucky. I'm right now working on my second presidential campaign for the Obama campaign, and that's another good feeling where I just like to. I can't afford to buy a $35,000 dinner, one of his fundraisers or whatever, but I can put my expertise and my elbow grease in and do some work and get some great music into his materials and hopefully make a difference that way. So,
that's great. John, I want to thank you so much for coming and doing this. I appreciate it very much.
Hey,
Thank you.